time to make the walrus. Kind of a fun one to make. So here we go. Once again, scissors, glue. Today, a blue and a black crayon. Trash tray. Okay, let's get started. So you can see the pieces. I have already glued my W's, and I've already glued my fun fact. Walruses are very sociable and gather in large groups. Sociable means they like to be around each other. Kind of like we like to be around each other, but we don't get to be around each other right now. They use their tusks to pull themselves onto the ice floes. An ice floe is a chunk of ice that's floating around in the ocean, up way where it's cold. Okay, so you can see the pieces. Two of our pieces are exactly the same size, just pointing that out. So we are not going to use the small pieces first. First, we will be using the largest brown rectangle and the very large white rectangle. Okay, walruses live where it's very cold, so they live by snow and ice. So we're going to take this, and I am going to put it in a vertical position, and I am going to rip both long sides. Now, this is one of those things where, see how I'm moving my hand down when I rip so that it doesn't rip across my paper. And you can see that I just keep moving my hand down like that. Okay, so I did one long side. I'm going to flip it over. Going to start my rip right here. And once again, I am going to keep ripping down the other long side till I get finished like that. Now I have my piece of snow. I'm going to move my body, the body of the walrus, and this is going to go about kind of in the middle, maybe just a little high in the middle. Okay, glue dots, going to add a couple extra glue dots in the middle there, and I am going to glue it. It's going to go from side to side. Okay, this is my walrus's body. For the walrus's body, we are going to cut all four corners. Get my trash tray. Just regular cuts like we would always do. And magic cut that so your walrus does not have points. Never seen a pointy walrus before. Okay, got that done. Okay, we are going to be gluing this on your paper, and it can be just maybe a little below. So glue dots in the corners, and I'm just going to add one in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to glue this just slightly below the snow. Okay, now we're going to get one of these of the rectangles, the brown rectangles that are the same size. So we're going to be using one of those, and after we use that, we will be using the tan rectangle. So I'm going to have my tan rectangle waiting for directions, and my large brown, not large brown, but my brown rectangle. This brown rectangle is your walrus's head. And we are going to only cut the top two corners. So I'm going to hold it in a horizontal position, cut this one and cut this one. And the way we're going to be gluing this is going to seem kind of funny. It's going to seem funny that I'm keeping two of the corners like that, but that's because I'm going to be gluing it underneath his body. So I'm going to put some glue dots on, and I'm going to slide this so it is under his body, and mine is actually sticking out a little bit, but I'm going to take care of that little problem right there with this next piece. The next piece is his muzzle. We've talked about, or his nose. We've talked about muzzles and noses before. Okay, this is kind of a fun one to cut. So you're going to fold it in half. Okay, now we're going to cut, it has two sides. So we're going to cut both at the same time. And I am going to cut all four corners like so. And magic cut that. And I want to leave it together. So I am not going to cut it on the fold. I'm going to leave it connected so it has these kind of in parts. Okay? And then I'm going to glue that over, right over this line of the of where his head touches. And you can see that how I have this funny little mistake here. And I'm gluing it on there, and now you don't really see it. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue dots on the back of this, and voila, there we go. His muzzle or his nose. Okay, our next piece that we are going to use is the long skinny brown rectangle, and the one we're going to use after that is the short fat brown rectangle, which is the one that was the same size as this. Okay, these are his front two flippers. Walruses don't have legs, they have flippers because they do mostly they like to swim in the water, but they also like to sit on top of ice floes. Remember we talked about they were sociable, so they sit on ice floes and talk to each other. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to hold it in a horizontal position. Whoops. And I am going to cut the top two corners, and then I'm going to magic cut like so. Okay, so I have a nice kind of a hill. Now I'm going to turn this over and hold the hill that I just cut, and I am going to wavy cut along the bottom of that. And these are his front flippers, and he has two, so if it's still connected here, I am going to cut it apart and maybe do a little trimming of the points. Okay, so these two are going to go right here, kind of crossing each other. So I'm going to take one and I'm going to add some glue like that and put it facing down on an angle. And then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to put some glue on it and point it down, kind of like they're crisscrossing here. And you can see that the curve is going down and the wavy part is up. Okay, now this piece is his back flipper. And walruses are kind of like mermaids, I guess. They only have one flipper that comes out the back where they swim with. So they don't have like 4 legs or 4 flippers. Okay, so to cut this, we are going to cut off the top 2 corners, and I'm not going to do a regular cut. I'm going to do one of those long skinny side cuts. So I have my scissors come down the side, and I'm going to cut it skinny, turn it over, and I'm going to have it come down the side again and cut along a skinny piece off. I'm going to magic cut the 2 points, small points on the side like that, and then this side I flipped it around. I'm going to do actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a V cut. That is very different, which is kind of like a smile cut. So first of all, I'm going to cut really small corners off, and then I'm going to magic cut those. So I just cut those, and you can see that I just cut a very small amount. Now I'm going to do a V cut, which is kind of like a smile cut, except for it's kind of skinnier. So I cut down and stopped and then twisted my paper and my scissors, and then I'm going to magic cut again, right, those two little points. Okay, and if you have a hard time with that, you could just do a smile cut. Okay, so I'm going to add some glue to this, just some glue dots, and I'm going to glue the flipper so it's coming back towards his other flippers. I think they probably turn it around this way or stick it out straight, depending on what they feel like doing. Okay, one of the cool things about walruses is they have tusks, which are kind of like elephant tusks. But like in our fun fact, it said they use their tusks to pull them up on to the ice floes. Okay, so to make our tusks, we are going to fold it in half, like you probably already saw me do, and we are going to hold it in a horizontal position. And I am going to only cut these two corners off, and I'm going to do one corner, and I'm going to do it from the corner. So I've kind of cut a big piece off like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here, but I'm going to cut it a little smaller. I'm going to get rid of my points and open it up, and if it's still together, I'm going to cut it apart on the fold. So now I have two tusks, okay, and I'm going to face the tusks so the straight line, the straight part is facing the middle, okay. Now the tricky part is going to be sliding these under his nose, okay, so that is going to be tricky. Ah, there, I got a little bit under the nose. Oop, didn't want. You might have to kind of lift your nose up. Okay, so there's one. Now you want to try to match the other side. So like I don't want to glue it out here, that would be weird. I want it to be kind of look the same. So I turned my piece over, added a little bit of glue. Hopefully I can slide it under. If not, I'm going to have to pick it up a little bit. And there we go. Tusks. Okay, so those are all the pieces. Now we need our blue and black crayon. Okay, so the first thing, let's use the blue crayon. And like I mentioned, they like to live by the water. So we're going to kind of add some things that look a little bit like water. Okay, and now we're going to use the black crayon. And the black crayon, we're going to give him two eyes where his eyes would be. Okay, and then I'm going to give him a nose right in the middle where his nose would be. And then the last thing, walruses have like big whiskers. So I am going to make kind of a zigzaggy coloring around his nose or his muzzle area. So it looks like he's got his big fat whiskers on. Okay? And we are done except for the last thing you need to do, which is write your name on the back. Okay? Enjoy making your walrus.